Obesity is among the leading cause of preventable death in America, and it is increasing at an epidemic rate, especially among women, minorities, and children.
1 in 5 children are diagnosed with obesity. Then the problem stems from a very young age, which means that we have to look to the future, which is our children who are now becoming obese.
Obesity has been an ongoing epidemic since the late 1990s. This pandemic has been closely recorded in America from 1985 to 2004. In this chart, when a state becomes red, orange, or yellow, it is either primarily obese or overweight. By 2004, every state has become at least overweight.
Obesity is a major, major problem. And because people are frightened to discuss it and talk about it, people go into denial. Nothing is said and done about it. And I'm delighted to stand up here today to say, yes, there is a situation. And looking at the portions in this country, I think that's one of the main problems, is people eat an awful lot, huge portions, and not enough activity.
Obesity is a major public health problem in this country, and one that deserves much more attention.
Whether a person is overweight or obese is determined by their BMI, or body mass index. This number is found by multiplying one's weight in pounds by 4.8 and then dividing that number by one's height in feet squared. A BMI higher than 27 declares that person at least overweight. A BMI lower than 22 defines one underweight.
There's an epidemic in this country. 80% of the U.S. population is overweight and 60 to 70% are obese. One of the reasons this occurred is that if you see the big golden arches, you see all the fast food, everything's supersized, there's more calories, people are ingesting more empty calories, they're drinking carbonated drinks like that. Obesity is a factor that can be modifiable. And what I mean by that is that you have some control over that, what you put in your mouth. The problem is, a lot of people say, like a lot of different medical problems. Well, my mother was obese, my grandmother was obese, everybody was obese. I just think I'm going to be that way. And that's not true. There are certain things that you have a genetic predisposition to, but this you can actually control what you put in your mouth. You can influence, whether or not you're going to develop heart disease, whether you develop high cholesterol, whether or not you are going to be someone who's going to be dealing with high blood pressure. Obesity is such a problem that there's going to be a shortage of one's lifespan. We need to deal with it in the younger population. This is the first time that we found, for example, with diabetes, that children aged 10 are developing diabetes, the type of diabetes that usually you find in the older population, and having to take insulin, and when in fact they were not born with what's called juvenile diabetes. That is terrible. And so you have to look at society. What's going on? What are these kids doing? What's different about my generation versus what's going on right now? Well, first of all, we were playing out in the street more often. We were more involved in exercise, we were building forts, we were active. And so the kids today, unless they're in organized sports, what are they doing with their free time? They're looking at the computer, they're doing their video games, they're getting a lot of exercise with their hands, but they're not out there doing the physical activity.
Adolescents tend to not know the right way to eat, and when they see people portrayed in the media, I think they get a false idea of what healthy is.
Fast food restaurants began to increase dramatically in the late 1990s. In 1970, there were 30,000 fast food restaurants. In 1980, there were 140,000. In 2001, there were 222,000 fast food restaurants.
Obesity impacts healthcare dollars because when you are obese, you have a higher risk of cardiac disease, heart disease, that costs the community a lot of money. There's a lot of healthcare dollars go into that. If you develop diabetes, that costs the community a lot a lot. If you have high blood pressure, that costs the community a lot. So when they're coming together for this new health care plan, if they don't deal with obesity in the younger population and in the adult population, it will bankrupt the healthcare system once again. I deal with a lot of Hispanic patients, and they are fine when they're in Mexico and they're South America and Central America, and they're eating all these natural foods that don't have pesticides and don't have all these terrible things in it. Then they cross the border, and within a year, somebody who was a healthy person all of a sudden develops diabetes, and they're less than 30 years old. The basis for all disease across the board really has to do with nutrition. The fattier diet that you have puts you at risk for any kind of cancer, whether it's colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer. A particular way of eating allows people to have more freedom and have their weight under control. If you look across the board in certain communities, you'll see the type of grocery stores that are available. You will find more of mom and pop, small stores with a lot of, empty calories and a lot of carbs that are not good for you. And you'll find you can actually map how far away a decent grocery store is. And if you don't have a car, if you don't have access to a bus ride to get to there, then you're really a victim of that situation.
Yeah, most definitely. It's everything that we purchase here, we do here. We're trying to be like fat-free items and stuff like that, and low calorie and stuff like that. So you gotta play around with the budget, of course. Monitor how you're doing money-wise and stuff like that. What to implement in the cafeteria and whatnot.
When people don't eat and they put themselves in starvation mode and they go, I'm not going to eat today, I'm not going to eat the breakfast, I'm not going to eat the lunch, but I'm only going to have one meal. You're going to gain weight, because what happens is it sends a message to the primitive part of our brain that there's no food. So what does the body do? Just from a survival perspective, it holds on to fat and water, and then it goes into storage fat. It's really mind, body, and spirit. It really is. I mean, if you're serious about wanting to get your weight in a certain area, a certain level, then you have to have the right nutrition, you have to have the right perspective on life in general and how to deal with your stress. Stress is a big issue that puts weight on people, and exercise is really important.
There's lots of options out there for them. I think counseling is very important for them to seek out. I think family support is very important.
Moderate physical activity, at least 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day.
It should be on the curriculum vitae or on the daily routine that there is physical activity.
Prevention is a good investment. It's the best investment. And investing in prevention of obesity and control of obesity is important.